Hey, I'm Quincy and I'm a radio personality, but just like you, I'm always wanting to make better health choices for myself and of course for my family. Now that's why I've teamed up with my friend Dr. Dean Tindall and the fine folks of New Life Naturopathic, the creators of new-lifeweightloss.com, to bring you a podcast focused on giving you the information you need to make the best health decisions for you and your family. Now, that's going to be without sway from what mainstream medicine has become. Now, this podcast, Pursuit of New Life, we're going to release one each Friday. And we're going to focus on debunking the mainstream medicine myths now associated with naturopathic, holistic medicine, while giving you clear insight into ways you can make your health a lifestyle and not a jump from fad diet to fad diet. Experts in the fields of biochemistry, chiropractic, physiology, women's health, and much more will weigh in on a range of topics, all designed to open your eyes, expand your knowledge, and bring you to new life. Now be sure to subscribe to Pursuit of New Life on all the podcast platforms, and also follow us on YouTube at newlifenaturopathic.com, and be joining us every Friday for Pursuit of New Life.
Hello and welcome in again to Pursuit of New Life with our Pursuit of New Life team, which is also the team from New Life Naturopathic. We are grateful that we have the opportunity to share some knowledge with you, a holistic approach to your health and a healthy lifestyle. And we encourage you to download and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, and then find us on YouTube. That would be at New Life Naturopathic. So now we've got all that stuff out of the way. We talked last week about how we are getting back into the school season. It's in full swing now for sure. But with that comes all kinds of fun when kids are all in the same place and contained, and then they go back to their houses and they bring back stuff to the school, and the school brings back stuff to the houses, and then it's a whole mix of stuff. And so our immune system is extremely important. And I know Dr. Tindall wanted to jump into that, and so we knew that we needed to have a whole separate episode to get into that. So Dr. Tindall, we're going to let you get us started back on our normal routine ourselves this week, having you start us off.
All right. Yeah. How's everybody going today? I hope everything
Great. How about you?
doing well.
I mean, school is in full swing, and you learned last week that I have 3 kids in school, so
Cool.
it is what it is.
Well, he's a little bit stressed out.
The nasty's coming home. Yeah. So one of the big things we talk about, especially this, also not just school season, but we're starting to get back into the winter season, which everybody calls flu season. I always have to laugh about that because I call it low vitamin D and sugar season. It's not really flu season. And one of my friends who's an MD kind of goes, oh. I said, do you think that you have the influenza virus only shows up from October to April? And
It's got a schedule to keep. It was out
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's April. Or it's August. We need to start cranking up the guys are getting everybody sick. I said, no. I told him, I said, it's sugar season and low vitamin D season. He was like, oh, I go, no, seriously, sugar. You know, this is why we always talk about diet, you know, and that's why we put our program together, because our philosophy on the program is healthy food, healthy body, healthy life, or healthy weight, or whatever you want to do. It's about being healthy. So you want to do healthy foods, get a healthy body, and then guess what? Your body can handle different things. So I explained to him, I said, well, what happens in October, we had Halloween, and then November is Thanksgiving, and then we got Christmas, and we got New Year's, and then we got Valentine's Day, and then you got St. Patty's Day, and then you got Easter. It's sugar, 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 and alcohol if you're an adult.
Because we need a special season to get all the sugar into our system.
Yeah. So what happens during that time frame, plus when the sun, because it gets colder, so we cover up. Sun's not out because we're at work. So guess what? Your vitamin D levels tend to tank. And when your vitamin D levels tank, your immune system becomes susceptible, and your body becomes susceptible. So what I try to explain to people when we were dealing with immune and trying to immune prevention or sickness prevention, there's 4 aspects you have to have for somebody to get sick. And if any one of these is disrupted, you will not get sick. So the first aspect of being sick, you have to have exposure. So like, for example, I tell people my chances of getting yellow fever are probably 0 because I'm not going to Africa.
Right.
So I'm not having that exposure. The thing of it is you can't really keep yourself from being exposed to pathogens. They're everywhere. part of it. They're even in your skin. They're in your body. They're in your throat. They're in throughout your body. So what's keeping these things at check? It's your immune system. It's keeping them under control. The second thing you have to be sick is portal of entry. So it has to get in your body. So even if you're exposed, if it doesn't get in your body, you're not going to get sick. So the easiest ways to get in your body, of course, is the nose, the mouth. Touch yourself. Cut your skin, things like that can get portal of entry in food. Again, all these things are going to get in your body somewhere, somehow. So again, if you do simple things to minimize that risk of not touching your face, washing your hands with soap and water.
So I need to get one of those collars that pets wear and put that on my 6-year-old.
Put that on your 6-year-old. Okay. Little eye sockets so they can see out. And then the second, what you do is to get a ruler and rock them.
Yeah. Old school. Yeah.
Old school. Yeah. No. And then I'm not educated, by the way, people.
I was going to say, you go ahead and backtrack that. Yeah.
I'm just joking. They may have done it in our day, but they don't do that today now.
No, they don't do that anymore. So we said exposure, we said portal of entry, and then number 3.
And then the third has to do with strength of the pathogen. Yeah, if you have a weak pathogen, it's not going to, it's going to have an effect on how you're going to get sick. That pathogen can replicate or grow pretty quickly and things like that. So again, that's kind of outside of our what can we do to stop that? And the fourth one is susceptibility to the host, and that's what we can control. The host has to be susceptible. And I tell people all the time, they're like, oh, and I said, look, I've been practicing for 33 years and I've missed one, and I'm exposed to patients all the time. I'm touching them, and then we treat, and here we're all
the naturopath side, you're a chiropractor, so you're touching people.
Yeah, because they're touching people. And they're coming in from the farm, they're coming in from the factories, they're dirty. They're caught, there's school, we teach, teachers, everybody, we treat all walks of life. And in 33 years, I've only missed one day for illness. And that's because I'm allergic to fungus and mold. And I went to a house that had dogs and cats, and I got,
you got exposed.
I got exposed and I got sick. Anyhow, but I was out for a day. And the big reason for that is I try to eat healthy. I try to get good sleep. I manage my sleep. I take my supplements, and all those things. And so I do a lot of prevention stuff, and it's paid off for me in the long run because, I haven't seen a medical doctor since 1996. And that's the only reason I did for that was because of car crash. So I don't see him for any drugs. I don't see him for any surgeries. I don't see.
Well done.
There you go.
But that's a journey, though. For people, we've said this too. You don't get to start where Dr. Tindall is. He just said that was a lifetime of choices, a lifetime of prevention. Yeah. So you have to start somewhere, so don't get overwhelmed. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. So, for patients, what we tell them, everybody's asking, because we're getting kind of like, okay, it's kind of getting flu season and all that other stuff, and the kids are going back to school. And I mentioned in some other podcasts, but we try to do prevention with people. So one of the big things is, for adults, we have like a really good protocol. We have good, better, best. Depends on how much money you want to spend. But we use Standard Process has these really great immune packs that has vitamin D in them and Immunoplex and different things. And they have one that's for regular and they have one for vegans. What I really recommend for both people is one of the packs for each, because they have different products in them that really helps to boost the immune system in different ways. And then, of course, when winter starts to come, we tell people to get on their Cataplex D, just keep their vitamin D levels up. And if you want to know on your labs, even though the lab will run from 30 to 100, optimal level for your vitamin D is between 60 and 80 or 60 and 90. I like to see patients around 70, 80. That means that your immune system got the vitamin D it needs to kind of hum along and do what it needs to do to kind of keep yourself healthy.
Mm-hmm.
That's, and of course, getting chiropractic care, because Julie just posted an article here the other day. It boosts, getting adjusted, it boosts your immune system, 400%?
400%.
Yeah, 400%. Yeah. And there's lots of studies out there that shows that getting regular adjustments boosts your immune system. And they've done studies with chiropractic kids versus medical doctors' kids, and they find that chiropractors' kids, long-term studies that they have less illness, less disease, less time missed from school, because just the general philosophy of getting adjusted, keep your nervous system healthy, because that's a big part of your detection of pathogens in the body, and then just helps keep the immune system strong.
I mean, and that's something we've mentioned before. As you make decisions toward a healthy lifestyle, that also gives you an early warning system when something's coming. You feel it differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know when you're about to feel something, so you can take a supplement. You can get yourself prepared if you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for my kids,
that's important.
Yeah, it's like for my kids, I've taught them. I said, when you start to notice in that, like, they start to notice that fatigue, like, oh man,
Yeah,
I want to take a nap. I don't have that energy, and they're like, oh, wait a minute, my body's getting ready to crank up to fight something. So what do is they grab their bottle of Conjuplex, they pop a bunch. We have them in all rooms of the house, and we keep them in the cars and everything. So they pop a couple of those, a couple of Anagraphis, and if they get a rest for about 30 minutes, then they're usually up and going.
wow.
Chuck right along.
Well, we've talked a lot over the course of many weeks about supplements, about rest, about routine, and we talked about it last week, even bringing all those together and back to school. So Miriam, you gave your personal experience when we talked about supplements. You gave some of your health journey, and how impactful that is in our immune system is coming into play today. So what do you want to share about the importance of prevention and the importance of getting on track for our immune system today?
Yes. So from personal experience and from what Dr. Tindall knows about my health, I was definitely in a bad place at some point, even throughout school. I found it very difficult to concentrate at some points, and I think I mentioned last week that I started getting sick a lot more often. And I also, uh, my health started to plummet around sophomore year of college, when I went hiking and I was exposed to a tick. I almost went blind on my left eye. I had a positive test for Lyme's disease, and that's among the other health issues that led to. Um, Hypertension, all that fun stuff. And I definitely, as soon as I and I neglected my health for a while too, just because I was so busy with school, and that was kind of my focus and my priority, even though it should have been the opposite, because that was not doing me any good, because I was struggling and I had to work 30 times as hard, to get the same results. And it took me, twice as long sometimes to retain information, and it just kept going downhill. And so, and I was also pre-med at the time. So, I was taking some medication. It wasn't really working. And so then that's when I started to think about, I really need to do something before it, keeps getting worse and worse. And so that's when I started looking into naturopathic and holistic medicine and alternative medicine, and, not only as a career path, but also as a patient. And so that's, when I found Dr. Tindall's office, and that's, when I started taking supplements. And I mean, it was not long before I really started feeling the difference. I started, my immune system got so much better. I wasn't getting as sick. And I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm not anti, modern medicine, drugs. That was also my career. I'm kind of, I have the perspective of, get the best of both worlds. And,
As long as they stay in their lane. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And, you can also contribute and I guess sometimes butt heads, unfortunately, but also learn from each other along those two paths, even though they might seem like they're on opposite ends of the spectrum. Um, but I, um, I kind of turned myself into a guinea pig and just kind of started experimenting with myself. And I stopped taking the medication that I was on at the time. Some of it was also psychiatric because that was connected to some of the physical ailments that I had, which also worsened my mental health. But it's all connected. And I was, you know, again, exposed to a lot of, pathogens to just being in college and school. Um, and so, I didn't really change anything except, get off of the pharmaceutical medications that I was on. And I was taking flu shots every year at the time. I stopped doing that. Um, and then, and I still, had the flu, even though I was taking flu shots every year. I still acquired the flu, mild form of it. Still got cold. But then, I stopped doing that. I switched into a few protocols that I was working with Dr. Tindall on. And then suddenly I stopped getting sick. And so, it's like, wow, it's a miracle, but not really, because we knew a lot about how these nutritional protocols worked, how they worked in your body, how they strengthened your immune system. And I did not really change anything else in my routine. I was still exposed to the same pathogens, same amount of time. I was still in school. Only difference was my body could fight them off. And so it was that simple. And it's great when things work like that.
Yeah, it's amazing what the correct routine and the correct nutrition can do, and the right supplements and getting on the right lifestyle path when it comes to those things. So, Dr. Stuber, do you hear a lot of stories like this in your practice? You get women, young women even, that come in and are stressed out with everything and taking all the pills and trying to figure stuff out and can't get on the right path until they make that one decision to come to talk to somebody about getting it figured out.
Yes. The number one thing I hear from young women, a lot of them have children. And when one person gets ill in the family, then they worry about everybody getting ill. And a lot of the times, the reason that one person getting ill leads to everybody getting ill is they all have the same bad habits. So it's important to keep the immune system strong, keep your body healthy so you don't get sick and it doesn't become a cycle of illness. It goes around, and then by the time everybody's over it, they're on to the next thing. And the number one way to improve your immune system is with a healthy diet. The only way you can get proper nutrition is with good fruits and vegetables mainly, but you have to have good lean meat and healthy fats. Too much sugar just destroys it, depletes your magnesium, it depletes your vitamin D. Your body requires so much of your immune system to process the sugar that it just kind of leaves a hole there for pathogens to get in. So it's very important too to get enough sleep and to stop the cycle. As Dr. Tindall talks about, we're heading into, the season. And a lot of it has to do with change. The environment changes. And with any change, it presents stress on people. That's just the nature of human beings. So it is very important to eat healthy and get enough sleep, drink plenty of fluids to keep everything flowing. One thing Dr. Tindall addressed was some of the standard process products and why they're so wonderful. And I use a lot of them with young women is that they're good for the entire family. So you can have like children's immune, adults can take it also. Any of the immune packs, with a few exceptions, the children can take it also. So you don't have to have a whole cupboard full of supplements like a lot of families, a lot of people have. You open their cupboard and they just have supplements everywhere, and it smells like vitamins. Standard process just isn't like that, and it's
Well, as
about
we know, we don't all have the cat like yours that'll pick them for us.
no, not that true.
Sorry, I had.
Back to the nerve medicine or nerve supplements. So, um, that's really about it. It's the same. I hear the same thing over and over and over, which obviously is an indicator to me that that is what's going on in society. That just makes the most sense to me. Is it's a common thread, and again, when you eat garbage, you eat fast food, you don't eat raw, simple foods. Um, it's just gonna leave your immune system weak.
Yeah, our friend Dr. Or not doctor, but very much on the level, Karen Lacefield, she would say that we get too much eating stupid food and not enough food that has the intelligence to sustain life. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think environment has a lot to do with it. And you mentioned it, a couple different people mentioned it. And Dr. Tindall, you said something about it being low vitamin D season. I think we all are basically in a constant low vitamin D because we're not outside as much as we were intended to be. And it just gets doubled when it comes back to school time. We're inside even more. And I think that has a lot to do with it as well.
Yes, it does. One of the things I laugh about, the scourge of modern is the air conditioning unit. Because everybody wants to stay inside. Oh, it's too hot outside. So, but get out and,
get outside, soak up the vitamin D.
Get out there and play. Yeah, get out there and play. Well, you don't see kids playing out in the yards anymore. You drive through neighborhoods, you don't see any kids outside. And then the other thing that we have too is, I know it sounds almost the opposite way you think, but we're actually too clean. I always tell people, God made dirt, dirt don't hurt.
Yeah.
So when your babies are on the ground or on the floor, guess what? Leave them on the floor. If their binky hits the floor, you see this out of new moms. Their new moms, everything's clean. They got wipies there. They pull them out like a.
I remember when I had our first one. We were looking at all the little products that they made about keeping the binky clean and stuff. And I was blessed that he didn't stay on a pacifier for very long. But I started thinking about when did we get in the market of buying all these wipes and all this stuff to clean a pacifier? I remember seeing parents when I was younger walk around. If it fell on the ground, they would pick it up, either blow it off or lick it themselves and put it. But it's true that and then of course kid number 2 and kid number 3 and that a 5-second rule turns into 10. But it's true though. We've gotten ourselves to a point, and in the last couple of years, Dr. Tindall, all the different sanitizer stations everywhere. We've overdone that to a point as well, and all the schools have them every 5 feet.
Yeah, well, here's because the problem with those things, they don't kill all the germs. So if you're a big proponent of
mutations,
yeah. So now you kill off the ones that are susceptible to the alcohol or whatever, and you leave the ones that aren't. And then guess what? They start.
What kills them?
They thrive.
They thrive, and they start to replicate and go. And
more for us.
Yeah. So what usually keeps them under control is you have the other bacteria and things that, just like when you give a patient antibiotics, the antibiotics may be necessary, but it's a double, like all drugs and everything, there's a double-edged sword. Yeah, you need the antibiotics to maybe fight off the infection, but guess what? It just completely disrupts your gut flora. So now you have to rebuild that back. Yeah. So, because if you don't, then the pathogens that didn't get wiped out with the antibiotic, they get to grow because you killed all the other stuff that's taking it up. So
that's what I try to tell my kids about the little spiders that hanging out in the garage. They're eating the bigger spiders. Leave them alone. It's okay.
Yeah, and so Benjamin Franklin said it the best, and it's prevention is worth a pound of cure. And in America, we spend tons of money on chronic diseases. We spend a lot on trying to put the fires out instead of really focusing on prevention. And what I tell parents this stuff all the time. That's, again, I know I'm plugging our website, but the reason we put it together, and it's we've made it inexpensive. It's not like, oh, you got to be a multimillionaire to It's a $39 a month. So we made it really inexpensive so people can have access to it, have access to great information, great recipes that are unique to our site because we put them all through a nutritional calculator. So they're all balanced where you want them to be. I had a guy that he's been on the program for 3 months and he's down 50 pounds and he's happy as a lark. Actually, you know him.
I do know him. He mentioned that to me the other day, and I said,
yes, you do.
Good for you.
Yeah. So he's a happy camper. He's got more energy back. He's able to get off the caffeine, and he doesn't need that to keep him going because he's got natural energy because he's eating real food.
Yeah. The first thing I told him when he said he was dealing with stuff, I said, you're supposed to call. And he's like, yeah, I know.
Nobody likes to do that. Well, they know what I'm going to tell them.
Because they know you're going to shoot straight.
What
they don't want to hear. That's right, Mary.
Yeah. Well, we all don't want to give up stuff. And it's the same thing with what we've been talking about with preventative. It truly is sometimes you do have to give up some things that are really not doing you any good in the first place. And Dr. Tindall, you pointed it out. We don't eat for pleasure in the first place, or we're not supposed to. We eat for fuel, and we eat for, the health system, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and, the other thing, and I try to explain to parents, because we get a lot of parents like, oh, my junior won't eat that. I said, me and my family, I said, we had a choice. You ate or you didn't eat. That's how I was raised on the farm. My dad cooked, and that was on the table, and you ate, and that was it. You didn't cook more. I'm not a short order cook. And so I did that with my children. I said, you're going to eat this food. If you don't, that's okay. You can go hungry.
My 4-year-old, when we sit them down and we say, you either eat or you go to bed hungry, she goes, okay, I'll go to bed hungry. I was like, oh, that's okay, but you're going to sit there anyway.
Yeah.
And then she's like, aw.
Yeah. So, and then, because you want to get them in the habit, and I had one lady, she got kind of with me about it, got started. And I said, look, and I'm not trying to be mean, but your 10-year-old is the one who is making decisions in the household. And 10-year-olds don't have the wisdom, the knowledge, and anything that they need to do to make decisions that are best for their health. That's what your job as a parent to do. And, and she started kind of getting upset with me. And I said, look, and it's a real simple thing. And to drive it home with parents and stuff with these, especially kids and yourself. So I turned to this lady and I asked her, would you give your dog Captain Crunch, chocolate bars, cookies, ice cream, cakes, and candies? And she said, no, it'd kill my dog. And I'm like, you won't do that to your dog, but you'll do that to your child. Yeah. But what's more important? Well, I guess in some people's minds, their dog's more important than their children, but I'm not.
We're peeling back a bunch of layers. Yeah.
So I'm just looking at her going, really?
What was that, Mary?
So that's all relative.
Yeah, right. Well, and unless that 10-year-old is telling you to go to new-lifeweightloss.com, you don't want to go. But it is a great place to go to get this information and make these lifestyle choices that we're talking about that are really needed in our environments. Julie, I loved what you said about, the reason that we get in these cycles is because everybody in the household have the same habits. So if we can start at the top down, which is where it's supposed to, then we can get some of these things sorted out. Does anybody have any parting shots on immune system today before we wrap this one up?
Key thing is just, focus on your health and prevention.
Yeah, big time. Benjamin Franklin said it well.
Another quick thing I want to add is, as they say, you are what you eat, but you are also what you get yourself accustomed to. And, as Dr. Tindall mentioned, we're not supposed to eat for pleasure, but I will say, on our website, we have some really delicious recipes.
Oh yeah, they are.
It might take a little bit of adjustment or, for your taste buds to kind of get used to real food, because if you have been eating, the junk, that's just what your body and your taste buds are accustomed to. And so real food's probably not going to taste as good to you. But then, once you get over that, and even people who, go to fast food all the time and then, try one of our recipes are like, this is actually not that bad. So, it's really...
That's what we were going for. Not that bad. Right?
Yeah. It's really not as hard as it may seem. It is a lot simpler when you kind of put it all in perspective and, just kind of do it and just try it and just see for yourself. But, our foods can be pleasurable. So
That's right.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Yeah, especially at new-lifeweightloss.com. Dr. Stuber, did you have anything you wanted to add before we wrap this one up?
Real quickly, I'd like to remind parents that taste is acquired. So if children don't develop a taste for garbage, they just don't even want it. Like, I'm just briefly, when I was a kid, we didn't have snacks. We didn't have Cheetos chips, and I think once a week maybe we had butter popcorn, but I just don't have a taste for it. Like good whole food tastes the best to me. And that's why if you just teach your children right from the very start, you feed them good, nutritious food, they don't want junk. They don't even, their taste buds just don't develop that way.
Mm. Well, that is good advice. And I know that's something we're working on in my house for sure. And some may feel like they're in too deep. Well, it's never too deep to start making that step to the right place. As we've said, it is a journey. You have to take a step somewhere. And making that decision is the best thing you'll do. It can't be done overnight. It has to be a process. And the good thing is you can have accountability along the way. And that's why we push this program that has been put together by this team, new-lifeweightloss.com, because it really takes a lot of the guesswork out of it for you. And you're able to get shopping lists and all of that good stuff right there to help you put those very tasty, nutritious meals on the table. Well, we are grateful for the opportunity to spend some time with you this week, and we are always on the end of the week, releasing on every podcast platform, Pursuit of New Life. We also, of course, are on YouTube, and that is at newlifenaturopathic.com. And we are finished talking about the immune system for now. We talked about back to school last week, and we'll see you next time on here on Pursuit of New Life.
Thanks, Quincy.
Thanks, Quincy.